Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Harlem Writers Guild presents Reflections of Our People. We griots write to celebrate our ancestors. When it was illegal to teach us, they rebelled and carried our history in their hair, recipes, and songs. Their narratives are the music that gives us strength. We write challenging absurdities and singing their praises because they died for the right. This is a public reading and Q&A featuring Harlem Writers Guild members Chanel Murray, Judy Andrews, Angela Dews, Hasna Muhammad, Mark Polite, myself, Eartha Watts Hicks, Judy Ann Fairley, Kendall Glaspie, Minette Coleman, Robert Woodbine, the artist Anubis, and our executive director, Diane Richards. I am Eartha Watts Hicks, and I'm your moderator this evening. And this is an official 2024 Brooklyn Book Festival bookend event. Our first Harlem Writers Guild reader is Ms. Chanel Murray. Now, Chanel Murray is an author and CEO and founder of All Black Everything. All Black Everything is a company that offers year-round Black history education through curriculum, theater, and interactive sessions that foster understanding and connection while building literacy skills. Her books, All Black Everything Poems and All Black Everything, a discussion and action guide, are housed in the Schomburg Center and the U.S. Library of Congress. All Black Everything is coming to the stage, so if you're interested in contributing to this initiative, connect with her at info@allblackeverything.com. Now, welcome, Chanel.
Hey, Eartha.
Hey, Chanel, good to see you. And Chanel,
Good to see
the
you
audience
too.
is all yours.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here. And I'll be sharing a few poems from my book, All Black Everything. The first poem I'd like to share is called We Resisted. I was inspired to write this as a way to give honor to our ancestors and the many ways in which they resisted and that we continue to resist. We resisted. On the African shores, we resisted. Throwing ourselves overboard, we resisted. Ship yourself in a box with stamps, we resisted. Burning down death work camps, we resisted. Knowledge of botany to create potions, we resisted. It's not martial arts, it's dance motions. We resisted. Margaret Garner's children won't be enslaved. We resisted. Would rather see them safe in the grave. We resisted. Hide in an attic for 7 years. We resisted. Robert Smalls' freedom ship he will steer. We resisted. Braid escape routes in our hair. We resisted. Follow Big Dipper in the air. We resisted. Freedom songs in code. We resisted. Led to the Underground Railroad. We resisted. Draped the mania, the said cause. We resisted. Wanting freedom made us the outlaws? We resisted. Tours to speak about our pain, shining light on the institution inhumane. Remember, they didn't wake up out of nowhere compelled. We weren't set free, we freed ourselves. The next poem I'd like to share is called Black Is. Black is expansive. Black is hair bonnets, do-rags, bone straight to afro, to perms, to coils. Black is in the kitchen, straightening your kitchen, or displaying your kitchen. Black is country, cities, suburbs. Black is hiking, swimming, skydiving, double dutch, smoke Dutch. Black is the art of double reading, reading books and reading people. Black is a Cadillac grill, wearing a grill. Get out my grill and cook out on the grill. Black is handshakes and daps. Black is a head nod to say, I see the me and you. Black is unifying. Black is skin of pearl and skin of onyx and still saying proudly, I'm black. Black is a race, a color, and an ethnicity. Black is a whole number, not a fraction, not a half or a quarter. It's 100 without the DR, but including DR. Black is everywhere. Black is creative. Black is my history didn't start here, and we still stay creating. Black is transforming scraps into a world-renowned cuisine. Black is turning teen-on law into a fashion statement. Black is dance, can't dance. Braid, can't braid. Black is quiet. Black is loud. Black is enunciating every sound or nah. Black is not, and black is ain't. Black is working within the system, reforming the system, and or giving a middle finger to the system. Black is remembering the shoulders we stand on. Black is dope. Black is endless. Black is. Black is. Black is. What else am I? What else am I? She would ask. Hazel eyes and skin of caramel, wanting to hear something else as if black wasn't enough. In her last name, looking for something to claim, Irish, Scottish, anything, more than just being black. Learned her history, then fell in love with her hair, her culture, and her blood. The greatest strength to know thyself, and with that comes inner pride. It was a way to treat us inhumane if we didn't know that in fact it came from us, the sciences and mathematics too. Taught the Greeks what they knew. We first sailed across the ocean blue. World's first college in Timbuktu. Never learned these stories in school. No mention of black people ruling Spain with class. The Moors taught them how to wash they. Our rich history didn't start here. It goes way back. They didn't steal slaves. They stole warriors, teachers, eye surgeons for cataracts, writers, storytellers, royalty, and that's a fact. We weren't slaves, we were enslaved, and the blueprint of civilization our ancestors paved. Steal from us, take our knowledge, creativity, and plagiarize, repackage it with a different face, but it's our work in disguise. Destroy the nose, but we still know the shame is not for us to hold. The story of the lion often silenced and untold. But if I knew how deep the history lies, I would have never asked, what else am I? And I'm going to leave you with the last poem that I have, and it's called Black Love All Up in Your Name. Black people are some creating people. Let's first start off by saying there's no such thing as a ghetto name or normal names or weird names. They're just names, and black names are oozing with black love. To all the names that never end up on a cup, so what? Your name means far from basic. Shout out to the names that make your tongue work overtime to emphasize the melody of each syllable. Make them say it correctly every single time. Names that end with the sound that carry on. Tamika, Shawanda, like your name, you're unstoppable. To the names that break phonetic rules that don't even matter anyway. Sade, you can exist outside the lines. To the names with accent marks and apostrophes, Daquan, your name is a reminder that you're meant to stand out, you see. Names after your fathers claiming you, throwing a new twist to the name, but clear you're named after your daddy. Daralisha, yes, you. Your name means you are me and I am you. Combination names giving you a piece of both parents. Lariana, your name says we love you. Names after expensive brands, a symbolic gesture to show that you are valuable. Let's celebrate the creativity, love, and pride in our Black naming traditions. And when they clown our creativity to make us feel shame, brush that off and know that Black love is all up in your name. Thank you. Thank you, Eartha.
Thank you, Chanel. Thank you so much. And that is amazing. I want to remind our readers that you can connect with Chanel at info@allblackeverything. And I'll spell that for you. Info, INFO @ALL Black, BLACKERRYTHANG.com. Now, our next reader is our Harlem Writers Guild member, Ms. Judy C. Andrews. Now, Judy received a Master's of Arts degree in English and Creative Writing and a Bachelor's of Arts in Liberal Arts and Sciences from the City College of New York. She's worked as an educator, a freelance writer, editor, children's advocate, and her historical fictional, thrilling novels, An Ocean of Jewels, and The Gift to Treasure are reflections of her Gullah Geechee heritage. Her most recent work, The Gathering of Gemstones, a poetry collection published during the 2020 global pandemic, explores the themes of love, hope, and peace in an ever changing world. I present to you Ms. Judy C. Andrews. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you, Eartha. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll be reading from my latest book, The
Well, thank,
Gathering of Gemstones.
well, thank you, Judy, and the audience is all yours.
Thank you, Eartha. The title that I'm reading is Well Pleased. I am from thick molasses, kissing powder soft biscuits and entertained by red eye gravy from ham, okra, and grits, and some fried fish. I am from Gullah Geechee people, Geechee jewels, diamonds, gems, holy words, ebonics, street, mad ghetto, ghetto fabulous, and the King's English. I am from the Gola and Sierra Leone's baskets that carry love, culture, heritage, gold, silver, oil to Georgia. I am from deep wounds, chains that caused water I was baptized in to stain my eyes. I am from Isis, Eve, Hatshepsut, Mary, Harriet, Coretta, Maya, Intazaki, Alice, Tony, Sonia, Angela, Shirley, Oprah, Michelle, Hannah, Catherine, even Shaniqua. I am well nurtured soil, soul, seasoned with saltiness, spicy, spirited, tasteful, filling like molasses and port wine kissing black cake. I am from megastars, gemstones, gold, silver, enhancing the world with Obama magic and tickling hope, drifting through my body like a ton of frankincense and myrrh, sweet lang lang, and carefree roses. I am from many lands, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, Africa, journeying to be anointed with a spirit of unconditional love overflowing, holy like the river Jordan, Euphrates, Tigris, the Nile. I am from a woman named Catherine, African American, an American descendant of Africans from Africa, brown, sugared, Gullah, rich in regality, rich in spirit, made wise through struggle, planted in a foundation of rich soil where the branches of live oak trees still dance in the sun. I am from the sun, Aton, Atom, Sun, Isis, Eve, Sheba, Cleopatra, daughter, mother, aunt, sister, father, uncle, brother, cousin. They live infinitely well pleased. I am Shah, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Thank you.
Wow. That was amazing, Judy. I would like to let our readers know and our listeners know that you can all connect with Judy at blessedbrown.com, and that's www.blessed, BLESSED, Brown, Thank you. BlessBrown.com. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Our next Harlem Writers Guild reader is Ms. Angela Dews. Now, Ms. Angela Dews began a contemplative path during a retreat from journalism, politics, and government. She's a community Dharma leader certified by Split Rock and New York Insight Meditation Centers. She has organized an anthology featuring 24 Buddhist teachers. Still in the City is a collection of stories about the practice of urban Buddhism. Her novel, Harlem Hit and Run, is recent history wrapped in a murder mystery. It is full of details of how and where we were in the 1990s. And Harlem is one complex character. The novel opens with the Buddhist protagonist, Pearl, chanting over a friend dying on 125th Street. We can all connect with Angela via Facebook at www.facebook.com/still in the city. I present to you Ms. Angela Dews. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very good to be here.
Thank you, Angela, and the audience is all yours.
I pulled down a hat to hide under in case Lieutenant Peace Knight, action figure, might be recognized by my Harlem neighbors as I was going about my business, the business of Pearl Washington, actor and daughter of Harlem. Lieutenant Knight had just solved a couple of crimes in the third movie in the Harlem Night series. As much as I enjoyed finally shooting a Harlemite movie in Harlem, it did not make a significant difference in the tired familiarity of playing the same role again. This was getting old. As I walked down 7th Avenue, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard, my memories of my hometown were refracted by the way the changes hit the familiar. And it was even more disorienting because Harlem had turned into a ghost town, a netherworld that I walked through from 137th Street. Where was everybody? When I got to 125th Street, I found them. The streets were full, but the shops were empty behind the empty gates that were still rolled, the metal gates that were still rolled down, most of them displaying the dancing, strutting images painted by Franco the Great, because even the store owners who are not know it's a Black thing. The police and the shopkeepers were mostly talking to each other. The population of peddlers and vendors who usually sell oils and books and dolls and hats and music and things along both sides of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard were standing around or pacing in their work clothes. African jalabas, yards of skirt, Malcolm X and shade t-shirts, khakis and cargo pants and jeans. They had not been allowed to set up. The journalists were the ones doing most of the moving from one group to the next, breaking the borders that separated the tribes, shoving microphones and video cameras in front of faces. I took off my hat, folded it in my hand, and checked the barrette at my neck before I walked over to stand behind the television cameraman. Carl had provided still photographs when I was running my father's newspaper 4 years ago, and he had moved from the newspaper business to television. Knowing Carl, his camera was no doubt sweeping the wide boulevard and the Apollo Theater to capture a panorama for an establishing shot of Harlem in 1994. Then he zoomed in on a close-up of television newsman John Jackson, where he was standing ready to interview a shopkeeper. Carl gave the sign, "Showtime." "They put crazy glue on our locks," said the owner of the men's clothing store we were standing in front of. "That's why you're still closed?" John asked. "I thought you were afraid to open because you expected some violence, although you certainly have enough police protection." "I'm not afraid to be here. I've never been afraid to be here. I've been here for years. Everybody knows me. I pay taxes. They don't pay taxes." "They put their carts right in front of my store," said another man, and he pointed to the sneaker store next door. "Where would you have them put their carts?" John asked. He looked surprised. "Somewhere else, not right on the sidewalk at my door." I felt the beating drums as much as I heard them. And when I turned, I saw the street vendors marching. The interruption they provided was perfect for the piece Carl and John were creating. A chorus of voices chanted, "If we can't eat, they won't eat. Whose streets? Our streets. Harlem is for Africans at home and abroad. No justice, no peace. Racist Giuliani gotta go." They were old people and kids, men and women. They came from continental Africa and the West Indies and New Jersey, Brooklyn and the Bronx and 116th Street. Not everyone marched, but there was a substantial parade. Some were rolling their folded tables and plaid bags of inventory along with them. Many had arrived without their movable shops that had come ready to fight back this morning. The man who was their leader was in front with a phalanx of other familiar allies, but no elected officials that I recognized were in the street or on the sidewalks, missing in action. Carl was shooting the marchers. He was walking backwards, panting, actually kneeling in the street so they marched around him. They were an army of color, probably 200 strong, threading its way east across 125 through a gauntlet. So much anger and no small amount of fear showed on their faces. Some of the same emotions were on the faces of more than 400 policemen from all over the city who were standing poised along the route. They included community affairs cops in their blue windbreakers and commanders in their dark suits and white shirts. Some were on horses, some were in riot gear, expecting what, I wondered. I marched with them on the sidewalk and turned with them at 7th Avenue toward 126th Street and the plaza at the Adam Clayton Powell Jr. State Office Building. There was a soundtrack, like there always is on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. And it took a few beats to confirm it was not the bass from Eric B. and Rakim, but gunshots I was hearing suddenly and echoing out into the big sky. John was on his knees. I ran over to him. Where were you hit? I asked him and looked to see. He handed me his notebook before I got pushed out of the way. Come with me, Carl said. Who Shot John is a second in a 3-part series of murder mysteries. The first book, Harlem Hit and Run, is available now. Thank you.
Oof. I love the detail of your writing, Angela. Thank you so much. And I want to remind readers that you can connect with Angela on Facebook at Still in the City. Still in the City. Thank you so much, Angela. Now, I would like to quickly let readers know and those who are watching know that you can connect with the Harlem Writers Guild on our Instagram account, which is Instagram at the Harlem Writers Guild. You can connect with us on Facebook at Harlem Writers Guild, and you can connect with us on Twitter at Harlem Writers. And our website is www.theharlemwritersguild.org. Our next reader is Hasna Muhammad. Now, Hasna Muhammad is a visual artist, writer, educator, and education activist. She is the author of she's the author of Breathe in the Sky, Poems, Prayers, and Photographs. Hasna serves as board chair of Studio in School, a nonprofit organization providing art to students in underserved communities. She's a member of Daughters of the Movement, a sisterhood of civil rights legacy holders. Hasna is a 2018-2019 Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture Fellow and a 2022-2023 Moth Storyteller and a Harlem Writers Guild member that we are also very proud of. I present to you our sister, Ms. Hasna Muhammad. Welcome, Hasna.
Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Hasna. Thank you so much. Well, our audience is all yours.
Thank you. This is my book, Breathe in the Sky, Poems, Prayers, and Photographs, and I'm going to read 3 pieces from it this evening. The first is When Giants Fall. When giants fall among us, their prayers carry us on breezes and set us down gently in open spaces full of grace where we inherit their strength, absorb their intentions, put on their hands. When greatness takes the final breath, flattens and falls mortal around our feet, our tears fall from uplifted faces, elevated hearts, and clearer minds. We release in whispers, murmurs, cries that shake our shoulders, and remember that we are giants too. We are giants too. That is the honor and farewell. That we learn and grow and challenge and conquer because we walked beneath these giants whose words and work and dance and song and music and care and love and sacrifice carried us apace in giant footsteps, hoping that we were clinging to their ankles, hips, shirt tails, shoulders, knowing that when they walked, we could fly. The second one is, I see you, if only in my mind. I have wished for eyes like yours on me. Chances to break the rules and follow impulses that seem reckless, but are really just me being unafraid to be me in moments worth risking explanation. Like that day in the East Village, just before you turned and walked uptown and I descended the subway stairs, you looked at me. I wouldn't not have pulled my face from between your hands had you placed them there. I would have left a secret on your lips and considered walking too. I have hoped for eyes like yours on me, like the eyes that watched me stop to photograph children playing in the Caribbean Sea. I would have laughed and fallen back into your body had you taken one step closer, as I took too long to focus on a moment already missed. That night in Jackson, Mississippi, I felt your eyes on me, right beneath my birthmark where my body curves. Had you invited me, I would have joined you in the shower. I would have let you prepare me in silence for what would never be spoken aloud, only hummed in our heads while we were doing other things with other people. I could hear you see me that day in a studio in LA when I caught your eye in my lens as I captured you playing the drums. I would have left my life for you that night. I would have linked your arm in anticipation of what we would do without thinking about the people on either side of each of us. I have waited for eyes like yours on me. I would not have looked away had my knees bumped into yours under the table in Milan. I would have kept it there. I would have reached for the sliver of gold that dangled from your neck and listened to you tell its story as I brushed your chest by purposeful mistake. I would have let you take my hand and look right through me. I have searched for eyes like yours on me, for the lie that I would tell, for the truth that would be ours, for the gaze that would make me sweat as our movements cast shadows in every direction. I know you are out there. I hear you. I see you, if only in my mind. The final one is called Live Unlived. I be chasing metaphors down mountains over hills toward freedom before I die. Too long I've been missing wisps of sunsets haunt unseen and fall into unforgiving hollows. Too far, time unspent run down my knees, puddle glue beneath my feet on landing with no stairs or doors through which to break and follow out. Space between clenched hands been all I could imagine. Now I be chasing drum beats flying dance before I die. Places ungone dare me outlive my frame of mind. Beckon feet cross grounds damp still by steps untaken. So I be chasing lifetimes living high before I die. Chance to love unloved, breathe joy unhinged between outstretched arms, unfurled skies. I be gift of girl mud finger hair uncombed. I be tipping Mars, picking blue hydrangeas, shoes untied. I be laughing friends tinkling glass with wine-stained tongues. I be swimming naked neath night's persimmon moons. Thank you.
Thank you, Hasna. Your writing feels so wonderfully beautiful, and thank you for sharing with us. And I would love to remind our readers and those who are listening that you can connect with Hasna and her work at Birthmark Media. That's BIRTHMARKMEDIA, and that's on Instagram. Thank you, Hasna.
Thank you.
Our next Harlem Writers Guild reader is Mr. Mark Polite, my brother from another genre. Mark Polite is an author, award winning writer, and he is the founder of Polite in Society. Born and raised in Harlem, Mark is a poet and essayist. He writes about social issues, labor, film, technology, and literature. He has reviews and commentary featured in the New York Amsterdam News and Harlem World magazine outlets. He has penned 5 books: Poetic Ruminations of Mr. Born Nice, Everything to Learn, Nothing to Teach, Poetic Ruminations, Volume 2, The Binge Watcher's Guide to Black Mirror, and Quiet with a Loud Mind. Welcome, Mr. Mark Polite. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Arthur.
Hey,
Good to see you.
good to see you, and looking forward to what you have to read this evening. And thank you so much, Mark. The audience is all yours.
Okay, so thank you. So I'll be sharing 2 pieces with everybody tonight from my second book of poetry, Poetic Ruminations Volume 2. This first piece is titled My People. Let me tell you about my people. My people face all kind of evil. Resilient. We win when we aren't supposed to, and deserve a Medal of Honor for all the nonsense we go through. Even when we're hated, we don't return in kind. We find hope in the dimmest places, never long cowered in fear. We pass down our lessons to the next generations, building on the real, living, inspiring, because being Black and American means courage under fire, because the shots never stop. No ceasefire, the peace has expired. Under the gun, even if you don't got one. But my people, we still keep on, whether down south or up south, quiet or slick mouth. We enrich this place, even as we face derision and hate. Whether South Carolina or the South Bronx, our culture is studied and knocked off, appropriated but not appreciated. Let it all seep into your skin. Even though we're set up to lose, we still pull out the win. My people. And my second one that I want to share with everyone tonight is this one is titled Emergent Wisdom. I have learned some things, and I'd like to spread the wealth of info and not leave behind my kinfolk. Good boredom is better than bad excitement. Just because you don't have drama doesn't mean you are lifeless. Don't let yourself be weighed down by bitterness. Don't be long on complaints and short on solutions. Stay away from coulda, shoulda, woulda. They are filled with regret about something you did not do. But really, it might have been something you need not go through. No point in saying could have when you still can, or should when you shall, or would have when you will. Not everyone may see your whole worth. They may be too close. Sometimes it's those from afar who can see what you are the most. Doing what you're supposed to do is its own reward. Don't do or say anything just for applause. After a certain age, you're too old to be told, and the help will stop. Though it may cause you dismay, but you'll step into the light because of the shade. Just a little emergent wisdom. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark Polite. And I love that your writing is thought provoking and it feels like Harlem. So thank you for the work that you share and all that you do. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next Harlem Writers Guild reader is me, Eartha Watts Hicks. Now, please have a little patience with me as I read my own bio. I'm the founder of Eartha Tone Books. I'm an NAACP award-winning author, publisher of Love Changes, Graffiti Mural, and A Planner is a Girl's Best Friend. It's a series of planners, calendars, date books, and journals. I am a NYFA, New York Foundation for the Arts, artist entrepreneur, and a fiction fellow of the Hurston Wright Foundation and the North Country Institute and Retreat for Writers of Color. I lead self-publishing and writing and publicity workshops for the New York Public Library, the National Writers Union, and the New York City Parks Department, and I serve as executive editor for Harlem World Magazine. For more information about me and my writing and what I'm doing, you can follow me at Eartha Tone for social media. I will be reading an excerpt from Love Changes. Ramel's passion was money and anything that had to deal with money. When he talked about it, his slanted eyes would glaze over and stare into space, like he was talking about sex. He'd use that same voice he'd used macking, and words would just slide right off his tongue, lip licking and all that. Of course, I'd stare at his shoes, usually those Botticelli Oxfords, anything to avoid eye contact. But I couldn't help but listen closer. So I'd close my eyes and concentrate. Then I'd hear things like PE ratio, cash flow, and IPO. Once he went on and on about liquid assets and drips. It took me a good minute to realize this conversation wasn't kinky. The market was Ramel's passion. If he could make me uncomfortable just talking about it, there was no doubt in my mind he would have his own damn door right on Wall Street. Ramel believed in himself, and just like Spider said, believing is half the battle. The question was whether or not that door would ever be available for him at his present firm. The only Black analyst there, Ramel always arrived 2 hours early, never took a day off, never took lunch, and absolutely hated taking personal calls. He usually asked me to meet him at 6 or 7 in the morning so that we could talk, like that was convenient for me. But even that was never a good time for him. The last time I dropped by was the Friday before I returned to work. I had Tebow strapped to my belly and was half asleep when I walked through the maze of cubicles to Ramel. He was hovered over quarterly reports, a copy of the Wall Street Journal, and a cup of coffee, punching numbers on his HP and Excel spreadsheet. He was so absorbed in the process of picking those companies apart and comparing them that I was sitting there a whole 10 minutes sipping my smoothie before he even said a word to me. To get his attention, I had to ask about stock. Doesn't this firm already provide you with a list? Ramel dropped his mechanical pencil and sat so straight his spine met the back of his chair, and his starched shirt looked like it was on a hanger. He grabbed his throat. His solid gold bull and bear cufflinks glowed. They were probably 18 or 24 karat. And I noticed his French cuffs were monogrammed. With his mouth still closed, Ramel winced. What's wrong? I asked. My tongue is swollen and it hurts to talk. He had a Mike Tyson lisp. Why did you eat nuts? Ramel shook his head. I kissed, he said, and then swallowed. This time he went so hard I felt his pain. He grabbed his throat again and finished his statement. I kissed a friend of mine. She didn't tell me she ate peanuts. Before you go kissing these women, maybe you should ask, I said. Ramel stuck his tongue out at me. The top of it was white and had split, and the sides were red and puffy. Ew, you sure that's not the herpes? Ha ha ha, you're comical, he said, and when he closed his mouth, saliva gushed from the corner. Sorry, it hurts to swallow. You shouldn't be drinking anything hot. You need something cold to bring the swelling down. This might help. I took one last sip of my strawberry smoothie and held it out to him. Ramel shook his head. I wouldn't want to catch nothing. I gave him a dirty look. You'd be lucky to catch anything I've got. Now drink. He cut his eye at me but took a sip anyway. Immediately, I saw relief in his face, so I said, "Stick your tongue all the way out." When he did, it almost reached past his chin, but was swollen to the size of one of those tongues sitting in the supermarket's beef section. I reached into the diaper bag and pulled out a Ziploc bag full of cotton swabs and the baby Orajel. After squeezing a pea-sized amount onto a Q-tip, I held it up to his face, only to have him dodge it. I nudged him. "Will you trust me?" I said. Ramel took a deep breath and opened his mouth. I then rubbed the Orajel on the top and sides of his tongue. "That's an anesthetic," I said, screwing the cap back on. I could tell the exact moment that stuff took effect because Ramel said, whew, and started smiling. "I could kiss you," he said in his normal voice. He then went on to explain his business. "My firm's been around since before the crash. We're one of the most prestigious, but here they recommend blue chips." Blue chips? Stocks from companies with a history of steady growth like IBM, Apple, and Intel. "Okay, well, what's wrong with blue chips?" "Chocolate, I'm in the wealth building." Now he sounded like Tony Robbins. "I could push their turtles, but I'm not afraid of risk. I manage them." "How?" "I offset the risk of the dot coms with the blue chips, but mainly I keep a close watch on IPOs and other trends in the technology industry. My picks always see unprecedented growth. This firm has a legacy to protect. I'm the only black face at this level, but I produce like a machine, closing every quarter with record numbers. That's why they pay me the big bucks, but they can't hold me back forever. Nah, the way these computer prices keep dropping soon there'll be one in every home. These internet companies and software companies keep popping up. Soon I'll be the one raking it in, buying the jets and the yachts. I could just feel it." Staring straight ahead, Ramel took this deep breath that made his whole body swell. And then he said, "If nothing else, I'm diligent. If I keep on the grind, in no time at all, I won't have to settle for the trickle down. I can retire comfortably and never have to work another day of my life, right?" He looked at me. I shrugged. "You're asking the wrong person. I'm a coupon clipper." And I'll stop there. So I'd like to remind our readers and our audience members that we can all connect, and we can connect with the Harlem Writers Guild on social media, on Instagram at the Harlem Writers Guild, on Twitter at Harlem Writers, plural, and on Facebook, we are Harlem Writers. And also, please visit our website, www.theharlemwritersguild.com, to find out about our upcoming events and how you can join our mailing list and support us in however way you would like. Now, our next reader, is Ms. Julie Ann Fairley. Now, Julie Ann was born and raised in the Bronx and earned her bachelor's and master's degrees from CUNY. Her writing appears in the anthologies Delayed But Not Denied 2 and 3. She independently published a collection of children's poetry entitled Flavors for Friends, illustrated beautifully by her daughter. I love it. And Let Me Get My Glasses, a collection of poetry and short stories for adults, which was released in 2023. A retired Department of Education educator, she now enjoys coordinating programs for seniors at the New Rochelle YMCA. And audience members can connect with Ms. Julianne Fairley at Ms. Julie 914 on Instagram. Ms. Julie 914, and that's Ms. spelled Mizz, Julie Julie 914. Welcome, Julianne.
Good evening, everybody.
Good
Um,
evening, Julianne, and thank
um,
you.
you're welcome. It's a
And
pleasure to be here.
yes,
Before
thank
I
you.
recite the piece, I have to tell you a little bit about it. My mother had given me some papers and a family tree and some letters many years ago that were in a file. Lots of unknown ancestors were stuck in the file. Then one day, my cousin, who is currently 95 years old, gave me a phone number of an elder by the name of Sally, and she lived in Tallahassee, Florida. I phoned her, and she responded by saying, "Who you say you is?" I told her again, and she said she always knew she had family in New York. She also said she was grateful to speak to me, and she ended the conversation simply by saying, "I love you, you my kinfolk." Well, when she said that, that comment brought me to tears. And the piece I'm going to recite tonight is titled Kinfolk. There is joy, a fulfilling of my spirit right now, because right now, the possibility of me seeing you all is here in this lifetime. After all this time, I see the people who share the same bloodline. We are defined. There is so much I have in mind. I know that I have family, kinfolk, relatives, cousins, uncles and them, daughters and sons, nieces and nephews, babies and more babies. I am honored. I am ever so grateful to share this time, this place, and this loving spirit with you. Family, my family. The blood of an African man enslaved long ago was named Peter Page, who decided once freedom came to change his name to begin again. And the saga of the Applewhite family began over 100 years later, where it all began. In this land, his family stands. Then a relative of ours got a pen in his hand. Benjamin was his name, and he had a plan. He knew we had to know where we came from. And we've got to understand this is special. We must respect and honor those who came before. We must respect and love those who are before us right now. We must love one another for real. No matter where you are, know that we are here. There are no excuses. We must do this. Family, my family. The blood of an African man enslaved long ago. His name was Peter Page. He decided once freedom came to change his name and begin again. Now on this day, we'll do the same because Peter's blood runs through our veins. And although we may have different names, never forget the place where we came, from where we came. Reverend Peter Applewhite, I speak your name. His wife, Katie Applewhite, I speak your name. Jacob, Isaac, Mike, Berry, Benjamin Sr., I speak your names. Sylvia, Eliza, Carolyn, I speak your names. Benjamin Sr., I speak your name. His wife, Julia, their 14 children, Emma, Lula, George, Lonnie, Sylvia, Serenia, Skaney, Sally, Ada, Benjamin Jr., Herbert, Cephas, my grandfather, April, Julia, I speak your names. These are the people, their blood in our veins, from where we came. I love you, kinfolk. And that's the piece I decided to share with you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie Ann. Thank you so much. And I love how your writing feels, so I need to say that too. That was absolutely wonderful. And since you said the name Sylvia twice, I would like to say happy birthday to our Harlem Writers Guild member, Sylvia, who I know she's somewhere watching or she'll see this recording at some point. So I just want to get that shout out in there to her for her birthday. Thank you so much, Julianne, for sharing your work and for your incredible writing. Thank you. Ooh. Our next Harlem Writers Guild reader is Mr. Kendall Glaspie. Now, Mr. Kendall Glaspie is a founder of a startup market research and technology company that focuses on driving responsible change. And it also empowers individuals and businesses with tools and strategies to manage change, tolerance, and supports the implementation of data-driven approaches. He is a writer, and actor featured on various streaming platforms. And he has recently self published a poetry book titled Love Unloved, A Black Man's Puzzle, which explores the complex dynamics that influence and impact the African American male's identity and psyche. Connect with Kendall via Instagram at Unstuck with Coach K. And I'll spell that UNSTUCKWITH, excuse me, COACHK. Welcome, Kendall.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the intro. I'll be reading a piece from my book uh, titled Love Unlove, A Black Man's Puzzle.
Well,
The
thank you
piece
so
that
much, Kendall. And the audience is all yours.
the piece that I'll be sharing today is At Least I Showed You. So it's my hope to lend my voice to, I guess, men in your life that may have served in a space of unconditional love, whether it be romantic or as a parent or guardian or a platonic friendship. The title of the piece is At Least I Showed You. My intent was pure, sincere, potent, real. It was full, clear, honest, rare. I would dare say selfless, open, but too soon. Perhaps it was laziness to not search for better words than I love you. I committed my heart to my mouth and my mouth to my heart, ran off to a fantasy where we would never be apart, ignoring hints bubbling through. Who are you? Acknowledging I exist, but holding on to resist. Your healing, your champion, your advocate, your muse, your partner, your compliment, your surrender, yours. How I want you to fall into my arms and cast all uncertainties upon my shoulders. I was shaped by fire for you. More than words, I heard action factions murmuring beneath, precursors of your identity. Processing yesterday, you were there, naked, in ownership of regret that you've bypassed. Prerequisites equating to hesitance, you mourned a gaping hole, too fresh and too deep. So I showed you what love would do, knowing I couldn't get a second back, knowing I would only be preparing you for beyond. I showed you that every feeling you have should be respected, acknowledged, honored, that every thought should be explored, nurtured, embraced, protected. Your forever meant forever, your everything meant everything, your go meant going, and your stay, staying. Dear heart, you can't find what you are not searching for. And your default is to anchor down in their departure. How I want you to know my love leaves no room for deceit, wandering eyes, disguise, and careers of romantic reparations. Love is patience, forgiveness, over and over, squared over, magnetic poles sensitive to your internal compass, knee deep in relational compost, a toast to unleashing all that lay dormant in your yes. You said no to you. So I am careful not to deny you a desire, coaching you free of limitations, repression, of tolerance. I say what is needed to build a core, mature, to adore, to show you you are more than deserving of any soul enrolled in advanced healing. So I'll show you what love would do, knowing I can't get a second back, knowing I will only be preparing you for beyond. I'll show you for a second what could be different. I am different. Nothing of your past, a springboard to your future. Heal here. This is safe. Heal there while I change hats to crowning my arrival to what feels like home. Rationalized superstition. They say it's bad luck to put fedoras on beds, so I'll seal up from head to toe, diver's gear. There'll be caves flooded, no oxygen there. Sounds muffled, refraction mirage. I'll focus on corners draped with curtains, peppered with Soviet landmines. Nothing shall detonate by human error. The terror, facing outward, inward, we are in danger of miscalculating tomorrow. I swallow shallow graves made hollow. Smile your way through. As you are different, there's room to imagine all that is possible through manifesting blessings beyond sight. There's no right nor wrong, just strong passions and desires that must live forward without infringement. The sentiment of trusting impulse, you'll find a space worth defending and a refuse worth building. And when you're not rooted, I will remind you what love would do, knowing I can't get a second back, knowing I will only be preparing you for beyond. I will show you. You are loved. Thank you, guys.
Wow. Wow, Kendall, I love the perspective you bring to your writing, and that was just absolutely amazing. I would like to remind readers and listeners that you can connect with Kendall. Actually, you can send Kendall an email to Glaspie, GLASPIE .Kendall, KENDALL @gmail.com. Thank you for sharing, Kendall. Thank you. Now, our next Harlem Writers reader is our very own Manette Coleman. Now, Manette is an author and independent publisher of The Blacksmith's Daughter and No Death by Unknown Hands. An off-Broadway actress and singer, she has written and performed Hand-Me-Downs, a one-woman show that has toured the southern states. A graduate of Guilford College in Greensboro, North Carolina, she became inspired by a 300-year-old tree in the Guilford College woods that was a critical part of the Underground Railroad's history. The historic tree became the focal point for her latest novel. A selection from the tree, A Journey to Freedom, appeared in the Killings Review of Arts and Letters for the fall and winter issue a short while back. Now, welcome, Manette.
Hey,
Hello.
Eartha. How are you?
Good. Thank you, Manette. And Manette, the audience is all yours.
Well, thank you. I am going to read a piece from my second novel, No Death by Unknown Hands. And I write historical fiction. So please share with me this memory as I take you back a little bit. It was 1952, and they were going to arrest a Black man for the rape of a white woman in Atlanta. My father, the journalist, and my godfather, one of the few Atlanta colored policemen, went to find Reverend Bailey and turn him in before he got lynched. After hours of darkness, my father returned looking haggard. Mama handed him a bourbon and Coke. "You can go home, Wiener," he told my friend from next door. "The streets are safe." Well, as safe as they can be for any colored man in Atlanta. "I thank you for looking after my family." Wiener handed Mama the 2x4 he had wielded as a weapon. "I guess you found him before the white people, huh, Uncle Jim?" Daddy looked at us. "Wiener, Daughter, there are some good white people. The desk sergeant wanted it to be all legal. We went to Reverend Bailey's house, and his wife told us exactly where he was. We found him in Vine Central. He is something. Short, black as coal, and powerful as the John Henry of legend. Those poor people were just mesmerized by his words. So eloquent and moving, Ronald and I almost forgot why we were there. I pictured it. Vine Central, a place full of people no one wanted. Society's lepers because they could not get jobs or could barely support themselves. One kind man was always there for them, and now he was about to be obliterated. Daddy went on. All 9 colored cops were in uniform and on guard. Ronald and I talked to the good Reverend. He really didn't want to go to jail, but he knew the consequences. If he didn't, they might hurt his family or burn every shack in Vine Central to the ground. So he came willingly. Daddy took a sip, then an excitement brightened his face. At first, the people of Vine Central weren't gonna move. They formed this wall protecting him, telling him, don't go, don't go. Said he could stay with them. Men would protect him, and women said they would feed him. The poorest people of Atlanta, people with nothing. One man reminded us that white folks never come into the Central. He said, we dead to the world. Nobody care. Nobody bothers us. Reverend Bailey can be dead too. Can you imagine? But the good Reverend told them he had to leave. Some cried and some moaned so loud, I'm surprised you didn't hear it up here. Ronald wouldn't put the cuffs on him, just walked him to the car and took him in. You went to the jail? Mama asked. Oh no, I couldn't. I came straight back here. That man doesn't belong in jail. One of Ronald's men went to inform his wife and stayed the night just in case the white, we all knew what he meant. With that, Daddy took another gulp. He wrapped his long arm around Wiener. Go on home, son. Thanks for your help. Anytime, sir, Wiener replied as we walked him to the door. Daddy and I stood on our stoop on the quiet street until Wiener was safely in his house. I asked my father, could it have happened? What do you mean, Willie? Could it have been like the pictures of lynchings I've seen? Could that happen here? I thought things were changing, Daddy. He hugged me. They are, daughter, but it takes time. And I don't want to think about that right now. The safest place for Reverend Bailey right now is in jail. I didn't hear a cricket or a frog or any of the sounds of the southern night. It's too quiet, I whispered. Daddy shook his head. They call this the calm before the storm. Might rain later, but it won't cool this down. We went in the house. Nothing is going to cool this down. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Minette. And I love the way your writing reveals so many of those missing pieces of history, especially what you did with the tree, A Journey to Freedom. Remarkable. I'd like to remind our readers that we can connect with Minette on Instagram at Minette Coleman, and that's MINNETTE Coleman, COLEMAN. Thank you, Minette. Thank you for sharing.
Good night.
Good night. Our next Harlem Writers Guild reader is Dr. Robert J. Woodbine. Now, Dr. Robert J. Woodbine attended Howard University. He published under the pseudonym Tagad Ninsed Ninsabi in Sonia Sanchez's anthology, 360 Degrees of Blackness Coming at You. Woodbine performed on stage with Gary Bartz in Mount Morris Park in Harlem and the East and Far East in Brooklyn. In 2019, he co-authored Sun Chasers, a novel with Dr. Yang Wing Min. And in 2022, Dr. Woodbine published his new book, Miel y Clavos, Cinnamon with Honey and Nails, a collection of words, some true. For more information about Dr. Robert J. Woodbine, you can visit www.griotwrites.com, and you can also connect with Griot Writes on Instagram, also on Twitter, and at griotwrites@gmail.com. But let me spell this for you. That's spelled GriotWrites. So that's at Griot Writes. Welcome, Dr. Robert J. Woodbine.
Hey, Arthur. Good evening. It's a pleasure to
Good
be here.
evening, Doc. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm eager to hear what you're going to read. And thank you so much, Doc.
My pleasure. I'm going to read several pieces. The first one is entitled Slow Morning, and that morning is spelled Mourning. I'll pause from this hectic moment to make a moment to pause this morning. Slow walking down the 188 steps to greet the pair of willows weeping over the receding duck pond, empty. I stare at the yet to open red tulip and the laughing daffodils as if for the last time. As if for the last time, my heart fills with tears that swell my throat and film my eyes. The bluest sky bleeds through branches and new buds adorn the treetops. And as if for the last time, I do feel the late spring's penetrating cold confirming I'm alive this morning, sitting on my bench in Morningside Park. This next piece is entitled Canela con miel y clavos. Arroz con habichuelas y pollo guisado, buen sabor de mi alma, replete with garlic mainlined into my heart. Si es Goya, tiene que ser bueno. Sofrito de mi memoria of Harlem's Grant Street projects. Después mi pan sobao y café bustelo. The doo-wop kitchens of mixed cultures, my mama's coconut rice and pigeon peas, pig sauce, uno no. She cooked at midnight. To say it was spicy is redundant, but needs to be said again. Rum-soaked fruitcake made in twos, one for now, and the other frozen for a year later when it was even tastier. My abuelita's chicken foot soup with dumplings and yuca or sancocho de pescado y coco, with fish heads, green plantain, yuca, and corn, and my lemongrass tea with milk, queso blanco y pan con mantequilla, before bedtime. Full circle memories of cinnamon sticks, cloves, and honey. This is a trilogy of songs. This first one is Song for My Grandson. Flesh of my flesh, me again, resting on my chest, breathing the rhythms of your own journey's destiny. And for this precious moment, we are one. Holding you smooths the rough edges of my life's experience, inspiring me to hold fast to my integrity as you nestle in full repose with your small embrace around my neck. You sigh and your lips blow, and we listen to the magical tones of Bem Shah Swing and Ruby, My Dear, together. Song for my sons. Beautifully mystic child, songs new befit you. We welcome your return. With you come blaring sounds, flooding the heart with love joy. Blaring sounds blowing cobwebs from dark deep wells, seeping strange juices of positive thought. Solar style life, your lungs burst unceasing courses cries, screaming music of brutal beauty beyond the swelling of your tremulous belly, beyond the brutal beauty of your screeching cries, screaming. And your maturity understood past the smallness of your size speaks quietly through eyes that stare steady. You are a cosmic baby, mystic child, not ours own. Fluidly patty moving moments of Jimmy Scott, Ayla Train Shep. Jimmy Scott, Ayla Train Shep. Jimmy Scott, Ayla Train Shep. Your blaring sounds from bursting lungs flood the mind with strange juices of positive life. Solar style thought, flowing from dark, deep wells of holier selves. And we welcome your return, knowing we must nurture you, the seed to flower. And this is the last one in the trilogy, Song for My Father. His third wife, Olive, was his first love and sweet life companion. His first wife, Ruby, broke his heart and shattered his faith and love. His second wife, Rose, was my mother, and together they lived apart, alone. This next piece is Salty Pancakes. My baby serves me salty pancakes made from scratch with chicken sausage links. The love and pride are baked in because she finally got it right, save for the salt. Happy she smiles with my empty plate in hand, save for the streaks of maple syrup and bitty crumbs hugging my sticky fork. And this last piece is Solar Eclipse. Sitting in my stillness, distant from the crowds gazing upwards, I close mine to look within for the light. Sitting in, playing my bass clarinet upside down, somehow the sounds are in rhythm, while Coltrane plays sitting in the middle to my left. Afterwards, no one comments. It's been an honor, John, and he nods, leaving. No room for squares, gray raglan sleeve coat on, and black sax case in hand. Thank you.
Doc, your writing, the music, the food, the culture is rich as the way you read it. Absolutely wonderful. And thank you for sharing, Doc.
Thank you.
Wow. Our next Harlem Writers Guild reader is the artist Anubis. Now, the artist Anubis is a spoken word artist, director, producer, author, publisher, and cultural influencer. He is the creator, producer, and director of the off Broadway poetry plays What Would You Do? Presented at Times Square's Ann L. Bernstein Theater, and Broken Mirror, presented at the Triad Theater. He has recently published the anthology, My People Burn and Other Visions. The artist Anubis supports emerging urban artists as the founder and executive director of the Harlem Bomb Shelter, cultivating a community of urban writers and poets. Please connect with the artist Anubis on Instagram at Broken Mirror OMS. Now that's Broken Mirror, O as in Oscar, M as in Mary, S as in Sam. Welcome, the artist Anubis. Hello, Anubis.
Hey, Eartha.
Hey.
This has been amazing. I love the energy.
Well, thank you. And I can't wait to hear what you're going to read. Thank you, Anubis. The audience is all yours.
Thank you. So yes, the artist Anubis, and I thought with everything going on every day, but this week in particular, I'm going to read two poems. One from my book, as mentioned, My People Burn and Other Visions. They say her name. They say, remember his name. I say, I just don't have enough space in my mental mainframe to memorize this many names that match that many faces of Black people in white places murdered by pale faces that fabricate blue races just this past weekend, this week, this month, this year, let alone my lifetime. Even if I ventured to begin, Ashe, to read out a list of all of them, Ashe, your voices would chime in, Ashe, with the name of another one of our brown kin, Ashe, killed for the color of our skin. I say no. For the sake of maintaining my sanity, I will not be dedicated to memorizing the names of the martyred. I will dedicate myself to the living, who remember the names that I may forget. And together, we will never forget to dedicate our lives to the living. We will never forget to fight in the name of our ancestors, honor our mothers and fathers, and prepare our sons and our daughters to protect their sons and daughters, so that the living may continue to live life until there are no more murdered names to remember. Ashe. So that poem is Ashe from my book, My People Burn and Other Visions. And I will give you guys a treat. I will be releasing a new book called Broken Mirror, Mirror Broken. And this is a poem from the upcoming book. When the iron rose grows from cracked concrete, none speak of how the sidewalk sizzles, how seeds be roasted on city blocks, how their flower petals wither, and black boys be blackened roses. Aluminum blooms from stainless steel stems, but bundles of long-stemmed black boys be lined up to look like prison bars. But not them getting shaped up into black men. Black men be swords, forged from black boys who survive sweltering heat, where blocks be hot, but these babies be not tar. They don't belong to the street. They melt into metal lava, molded to match the models of good sons, brothers, and fathers. Cause a rebar rose boy can't be but a butter knife until he sees what a strong sword looks like. In other words, a boy can't be the man he don't see. So black men be mentors. Mentors be hammers, shaping the softened shells of hot-blooded boys with heartfelt hits of life's heaviness. Bang! Responsibility. Bang! Accountability. Bang! Opportunity to be more than the bang that they see, till their edges be sharper than their tongue or teeth, till their edges be sharper than their hairline be. Bang! And yes, every hit hurts, but every hurt helps give weapons direction, extending the point from the hilt, till black boys be blades, thrust into cooling oil of intelligent leadership, then pulled out as a shining sword amongst the sharpest black men. And black men cut chains. Black men cut the cost of living from $1 to $0.75 because black men make change. Black men cut nooses from around our necks. Cut loose when it's time to play, but when it's time to pay, we cut checks. Black men cut the crap. Cut out excuses, no time for that. Black men don't cut corners. We be a cut above with love and cut each other some slack. Black men cut trees when the hole's too hard to climb. Then gather the lumber, turn it into ladders for those following behind. Black men be blacksmiths, faithfully following a fleet of founders on their mentorships, and forge concrete rose boys into swords, and the cycle begins again. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Anubis, for sharing your art, the way you share your art, and for your use of words and metaphors and sounds and onomatopoeia and all of these instruments that you just bring into a wonderful piece every single time. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank you for
sharing.
having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Wow. Okay, so I would like to remind those of you who are with us this evening to please, please, please connect with the Harlem Writers Guild on our website, www.theharlemwritersguild.com. Please join our mailing list. That way you can stay in the know of what we're doing. We have a few events coming up. We're going to be vending at the Brooklyn Book Festival on the 29th, which is Sunday. We'll be along the strip, along Court Street, right along with all the vendors. You can walk right up to us, and we're there. We'll be there all day, and you can come up and get an autographed copy. And we would love to talk to you and answer questions about writing, questions about our books, and you get to see there's a difference between looking at a book online and having an actual physical copy of the book in your hand. So we encourage you to come down on Sunday and join us outdoors at the festivities at the brooklynbookfestival.com on Court Street. Now, I would also like to remind you to follow us on Instagram. We are at the Harlem Writers Guild on Instagram. We are at Harlem Writers on Facebook. No. We are at Harlem Writers on Twitter and at Harlem Writers Guild on Facebook. So please follow us on all platforms. And if you like our posts, please share. Please share, please share, please share. Now, I'm going to remind you of the theme of our evening, which was a celebration, a reflection of our work. We are the Harlem Writers Guild, and we griots right to celebrate our ancestors. When it was illegal to teach us, they rebelled and carried our history in their hair, recipe, and songs. Their narratives are the music that gives us the strength. We write, challenging the absurdities and singing their praises because they died for the right. And all of this is so important, especially considering all that's been going on in these strange times in which we live. But as strange as it all seems, we have one of our members who released a magnificent work. And our next reader for the evening is our Harlem Writers Guild Executive Director, Ms. Diane Richards. Now, Diane Richards is a novelist, playwright, and producer, and she serves as the Executive Director of the Harlem Writers Guild. She is the author of Ella, the 2024 novel published by HarperCollins, based on the early life struggle of Ella Fitzgerald. Diane's plays, So Red Gravy, was produced by Woody King Jr. of the New Federal Theater, and the New York Times called it an irresistible, lusty celebration of passions. Her fiction and poetry have appeared in Beloved Harlem, a literary tribute to Black America's most famous neighborhood, Essence Magazine, and the Harlem Writers Guild Press. She also co-produced Amiri Baraka's final play, Most Dangerous Man in America, based on the life of W.E.B. Du Bois. Welcome, Ms. Diane Richards. Welcome, Diane.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, viewers, for spending this time with us this evening. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend time with us. Thank you, the talented writers of the Harlem Writers Guild. I am so full of listening to your talent and your passion for continuing the legacy of the Harlem Writers Guild. Before I do the reading of Ella, a novel, I would like to let everyone know that if you want to hear more from the Harlem Writers Guild voices and writers that you heard this evening, we have an event on Tuesday, October the 8th at 7 p.m. And the title of this staged dramatic reading is called We Be Living, the Voices of the Harlem Writers Guild. You will find it at Eventbrite. All you have to do is search for the Harlem Writers Guild, and you will be able to register and join us that evening, Tuesday, October the 8th at 7 p.m. The staged reading will have voices of writers that you heard tonight. It will be directed by our very own Hasna Mohammed, and the creative producer of this body of work is Minette Coleman. So please come out, and we'd love to see you there. Now, this is Ella. It is historical fiction. It's on Amazon, in the bookstores, and it is a very, I did a lot of research on Ella Fitzgerald. And Ella Fitzgerald, what she accomplished in 1930s during the Great Depression, in her personal situation of having lost her mother, the racism running rampant, even in Harlem, where she couldn't even buy ice cream. She became the first lady of song. And this book to me is all about dreams, tenacity to pursue them no matter what obstacle is placed before you. Of course, it's historical fiction, and I imagined what she went through, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I'll start at the very beginning. One of Ella Fitzgerald's inspiring things that she shared with people is this: just don't give up trying to do what you really want to do. Where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong. Ella Fitzgerald. Let me repeat that again for anyone who is feeling some kind of way, or feeling hopeless about feeling that it's too late to go after my dreams. Just don't give up trying to do what you really want to do. Where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong. I'll begin at the very beginning. Prologue, New York City, CBS Studios, July 18th, 1948. Ella Fitzgerald's sweating hands were icy, and perspiration kept breaking out on her forehead. She tried to dab at the sweat with a handkerchief, smearing her makeup, which left brown streaks on the white linen. She felt her throat constricting, and now she was terrified that she wouldn't be able to open her mouth to sing. She'd agreed to appear on The Toast of the Town, a brand new show hosted by an awkward young man named Edward Sullivan on a tiny moving picture screen called television. She'd never done anything like this before. It was a time of hope and possibility. None of them, neither Ella nor Ed nor television itself, had grown into what they would soon become. They all had a sense that something more, something bigger was on the horizon, and they just had to figure out how to reach it. But it was also a time of terror. Ella would be performing in front of an all-white audience, and it would be live. But you always sing for a live audience, her manager Norman Grants reminded her. But this time was different. This wasn't just a stage show or a club where she could read her audience and connect with them, throw her head back, snap her fingers, and bop. See the audience swaying in their seats or dancing in the aisles. Today, she'd be performing in a studio, staged and static, and she would become a moving picture that would appear on thousands of television sets all across America. And once it was done and broadcast over the airways, it could never be undone. Perhaps this audience wouldn't like the way she looked or sounded. She remembered what happened with Jackie Robinson. He'd broken the color line playing with the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he and his family had been cursed and shoved at the games. Would this happen to her? She would be mortified. She would sink through the floorboards. She prayed there would be just one colored person out there in the dark. Then she could just focus on him. People often talked about the racism in the South, but she knew all too well that there was a Jim Crow North that wanted nothing to do with the likes of her. I'll stop there. I want to thank you for coming. Please support the Harlem Writers Guild. I want to thank Eartha Watts Hicks for doing a fantastic job moderating the Harlem Writers Guild event. Thank you for coming out. We need your support. Remember, the Harlem Writers Guild was founded in 1950. Our founders, John Oliver Killens, Rosa Gee, and Dr. John Henry Clark, Walter Christmas, and they were determined to have authentic voices of African Americans be supported, heard, and published. And we continue that legacy, but we don't do it alone. We need you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you for all you do to keep our legacy going, because we stand on some amazing shoulders and amazing members and an amazing legacy. And it's some hard work just to keep this legacy going for, it's going to be 75 years come 2025. So thank you for all you do, Diane. And I would love to personally thank all of the readers this evening. In no particular order, I would like to thank Doc, Anubis, Mark, and Kendall, Judy, Julianne, Chanel, Angela Dews, Minette, Asna, and myself, but especially you, Diane. Thank you for all of us who did all that we can to make this happen for the Brooklyn Book Festival 2024 Bookends event, Reflections of Our People. And thank you to all of us who come meeting after meeting and reading those words and sharing each other the ugly pages, the pages that we're sensitive about and we're still working through, and the parts that we're not too sure about and still need a little work, because we are preserving the history, and we're capturing the history, we're preserving the history, and we're sharing it not only for each other but for our children and for our children's children. So the work that we do is important, and I love that we have a support network that keeps this going. For those of you in the audience who are writers, we encourage you to keep writing. Do what you can, write little by little, page by page, keep writing, stay motivated, and connect with the Harlem Writers Guild online at www.theharlemwritersguild.com. And you can connect with any one of our writers on Instagram, on Facebook, or on Twitter. Thank you all for joining us this evening for Reflections of Our People with the Harlem Writers Guild. And hopefully we'll see you on Sunday where you can actually come through and purchase a book. But if not, we'll see you online, and you'll be seeing our posts on Facebook. And please, if you see any post about We Be Living, like our post, because we be living, okay? And we want you to come and see how we be living on October 8th at Theater 555. And to reserve a ticket, you have to visit our Harlem Writers Guild website, join the mailing list, but also do a search on Eventbrite to find out how you can get a ticket. So Eventbrite, We Be Living, the Harlem Writers Guild. And thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Can we thank our technician?
I'm so sorry. I almost forgot. How could I forget? RJ, you are absolutely amazing. Let's give it up for RJ Stevenson, without whom this evening would not have gone through without a hitch. So RJ, you are the man. And thank you, Diane, for making sure I didn't forget to thank RJ, because he is the man.
And how about Q&A? How about Q&A? Any questions?
Oh, I almost forgot the Q&A. Do we have any questions?
We forgot to mention our girl Chanel, who was part of this too.
I didn't mention Chanel.
No.
I'm sorry, Chanel. Thank you, Chanel. Dang it. And she got all black everything. How I forget that? Oh my goodness. Well, let me thank her again. Thank you, Chanel. All black everything. Matter of fact, everybody go on to Instagram and find all black everything. Make sure we don't forget Chanel. All right. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Now let me see. Any questions this evening? Because I almost forgot the question. Let me see. Looking at the moderated questions. Any questions this evening for the Harlem Writers Guild members while we're here? Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see a lot of thank yous.
Here's one. What inspires your writing?
Oh, okay. All right, let's start this one with Hasna. Hasna, what inspires your writing?
Comes from two different places. Sometimes there is an inspiration based on an emotion that you feel coming from a sense. Either it is beauty or grief or movement, some epiphany of some sort, some kernel of a thought that inspires me to write something. And then at other times, there are things when I'm trying to say something specific. I am deliberately trying to articulate a thought, and I have to conjure up the words and get into the creative space to write something specifically. So that's what gets me to write, either that inspiration coming from an emotion or need to get down and do some writing and get that paragraph, that page, that chapter done.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. I'll take the same question and I'll pass this on to Kendall. Kendall, what inspires your writing?
What inspires my writing? I think exploration of truth is something that inspires it. Just getting in touch with what I'm truly feeling. A lot of times we get caught up in the hustle or bustle, and especially as men, you roll with the punches. You keep going, right? You push things down. That's one thing, and the other thing that I could think of in terms of inspiration is those without a voice. Really being able to explore and give give a voice to those that may not have a voice. Those are the two things that come to mind in terms of what inspires me.
Thank you, Kendall. And I'll pass this question along to Chanel. Chanel, what inspires your writing? Chanel? Okay. All right. So let me pass this one along to Judy. Judy, what inspires your writing?
What really inspires me the most is I start with myself. I start with my life and what I see around uh, my life, what I see in my environment, my community, the experiences that I've had. Um, there's so much out there to write about, but in the Guild, we try not to censor ourselves, and we try to be as truthful as possible in how we approach writing from our truth, our perspective. So, writing is a very precious craft that many people don't understand because it's a very lonely craft. When you're doing it, you have to really sit quietly. A lot of people, I know Walter Mosley likes to play music and he likes to sit outside in the atmosphere of the city. But for me, I really enjoy the quiet. I tried to do music and jazz and maybe some R&B, but I just want to dance around the house when that happens. So I have to you be completely quiet, and that's when the magic happens. And for writers, and I know a lot of writers know about this, the magic happens like the universe just pours the information into you and you
Mhm.
see it everywhere. All of a sudden, if you're writing about, I'm writing about diamonds right now. I'm writing a book about a family, who find something spectacular in their home. And all of a sudden, you start seeing information about what you're writing.
Mhm.
So when you open yourself up to the quietness and when you open yourself up to what it is you really want to write about, the universe meets you and brings all of the information that you thought you couldn't find. It
Mhm.
brings it to you in a new perspective. So I think to write, you have to start. What inspires you is to start with yourself. Start with the truth. What is the truth? And don't let fear impede upon that truth, because then you'll censor yourself and you'll say, "Oh, I can't write that. People are going to laugh or people are going to, judge me." But it's important to start with the truth. And that really does set you free.
Wow. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Judy. Mark, what inspires your writing?
Okay, so what inspires my writing is I just have a belief that there are a lot of times where the established narrative just has to be challenged because what the saying goes that the hunter had the lion had doesn't have his own historian, and it kind of goes to the fact that us as oppressed people don't always get our point of view seen, and I just like to challenge that because what we see in the newspapers is not always necessarily what's actually true out here for us.
Mhm.
So part of my motivation is to provoke people to think and to challenge what we are told and what is foisted upon us.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you so much. Now, I understand there's another question in the comments. Let's see here. We have, oh, okay. Do you have a writing circle weekly or monthly? Okay. At this time, we meet to critique and review each other's writing. So we meet twice a month on every other Wednesday. We critique and listen to each other read pieces that we're developing. And it's a short meeting, it's 2 hours every 2 weeks. So outside of us meeting each other, several of us do engage with other writers groups to do other things or read poetry or write poetry or engage in other ways. But the Harlem Writers Guild is a collective that we foster each other's growth and development in the presentation of our work. So yeah, so that's the best way I can answer that. Is there someone else that can answer that a little bit better or would like to add to that? Yeah, I guess that about covers it.
I'll
Diane?
add to it.
Oh, Manette. Mm-hmm.
I'll add to it.
Mm-hmm.
Manette, yeah. The one of the best things about the Harlem Writers Guild is the fact that as a group, we give each other positive feedback. So when you have something that you have written and you want to share it, you're going to get honest feedback, but you're not going to get, girl, this thing don't make no sense, and blah, 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 this and that, and this is negative. You can't help other writers by putting them down. It's kind of like they tell actors when you're performing, if you were doing Hitler on stage, you'd have to find something positive to say about him. So you have to find something positive to say about making your comments to other writers when we meet every other week, or say nothing. But the positiveness is what keeps people coming back. This is not a group that goes out and promotes, and we're not a publishing group. We're not that kind of group. We are really workshopping our pieces with each other, and enjoying them. And as you can tell from tonight, we've got fabulous writers and they are wonderful. And it's a whole lot of fun sitting back and listening to each other. It is. It's a great group. I'm glad I'm part of it.
Thank you, Annette, I'm proud to be part of the Harlem Writers Guild family as well, and we also influence each other in so many different ways. So it's a wonderful experience. Questions to the panel: what do you hope listeners leave with after hearing your work? Okay. Julianne, can you speak to that question? What do you hope listeners leave with after hearing your work?
Hope is that folk learned something from it, or it promotes them to search within themselves to find truth and resolution in their own pain and their own joy. My hope is to heal in some way.
Mhm.
Wow. Thank you, Julianne. Diane, I'm going to present this question to you. What do you hope readers leave with after hearing your work?
Go after your dreams. Don't stop. Believe in yourself. Believe in your, but I don't want to tell people what to say. It's never too late. It's never too late to discover what you really want to do. And if it's writing, writing is one of the most wonderful things to do, because through writing, you find out what you're not even consciously know what you're thinking or how you feel. And it's therapeutic and you can share with people. But I would love people to be inspired, because we're living under very, very challenging times. And that is like a misnomer, what I just said. I mean, we are quite challenged in this environment. And so I would like people to know that in the work that we present as the Harlem Writers Guild, I just want to share this. The reason we're still here almost 75 years later, and by the way, the Harlem Writers Guild used to be another group called we were called the Negro in the Arts in the 1930s. So we're older than what we think we are. We renamed ourselves after we finished getting funding. But it's because we met, because two people who wrote and believed in each other came together, and then they added on other people. And as was said by Manette, the support. So we support you, viewers, and so there is support for you. And dreams, just don't give up on your dreams.
Thank you, Diane. And let me piggyback on one thing you said. There were times when I didn't know how I felt about a certain subject or a topic until I had written about it, through the voice of another character. Sometimes we don't even think about certain things as writers until we're writing it. So writing is a therapeutic experience, and I encourage those who have a passion for it to pursue in whatever form that it makes you happy, whether it's poetry, prose, essays. My writing started with complaint letters. the feedback on eBay. but yeah, so do we have any more questions? All righty. So Angela.
Angela, take your mic off.
Mute.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry. I have an obvious answer. It's like I go out in the street I do a lot of walking, and people say, "Do you walk on the trails in the park?" And I said, "Yeah, I do sometime, but why would I do that?" I mean, I'm on the street, I'm listening, so I'm inspired. I mean, I hear people talking, I hear the way their bodies move, being around, well, people, and I've been around quite a while on these streets, and I've watched them change. And my stories are about 1990s. And I remember there's a character that used to dance in front of Bobby's Happy House to Sam Cooke all by himself all the time. And that brother makes me very happy to talk. And he inspired me. I put him in the book, but he also inspired me to look and see. The writing inspires the way I see the Harlem, the city, and the way I see the city inspires my writing. I mean, I have to be careful not to get stuck in details and forget the story's got to move. I'm all stuck in what color, what they're saying and what's going on. One of my issues is getting stuck in details. The other thing is to bring those characters to the Harlem Writers Guild, because writing can be very lonely, and me and that character could be just in there having a good old time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. When I read it out loud and I hear you guys, I don't even have to hear you say it. When I read it out loud and I see your faces and I hear you, it allows me to turn that person, that caricature, that quickie, into a real live person with the background. And so it's a two-way process, but it's very, very important to me that it's not conceptual. It is conceptual. It's about truth. It's about love. It's about but it's also the details, the real life of walking with people and seeing who they are.
Mm.
Wow. Yeah. The way you captured Harlem and the city in the 90s with Harlem Hit and Run, I encourage readers to grab a copy. Grab a copy from Angela if she's at our table on Sunday. Grab a copy directly from her. She'll be able to sign it for you. And in a very similar fashion, but in a way that's uniquely her own, Diane does the Harlem of the 30s and 40s with Ella Fitzgerald. So that was equally just rich with details, but of just a different time period. So, I love the way actually all three of these women took us through history, between Minette and her take on history with her writing A Tree and Blacksmith's Daughter, and Diane with Ella, and then Angela with Harlem Hit and Run. So I encourage our readers and our listeners to grab a copy of these books. These are stories written by our members, and we do our best to present our best work. Any more questions? Or anyone else has an answer to any of these questions that I didn't get a chance? I see Minette. Minette?
Yes, my dear, and I'm here. I just want to say that if you enjoy listening to some of this, imagine what it will be like on October 8th when we do We Be Living. The writers that you see here have all contributed some of their work, and it's going to be performed. It's a readers theater production, and you'll be able to see some here and see these people's work done by, we have actors that are doing this. It's amazing. The rehearsals have been fabulous. It's a different type of show for us to do. It's not just our readers standing there reading. Hesna has come up with fabulous direction. It's going to be fun. You have to see this. What you're going to see is the Harlem Writers Guild works in action, and it's beautiful. And I thank everybody for contributing, and I thank everybody for being part of it.
Well, thank you. Those who are interested in finding out more about the Harlem Writers Guild or interested in becoming members of the Harlem Writers Guild, we encourage you to reach out to our website, and join our mailing list. Join our mailing list and stay in touch. Connect with us on social media, and when we are opening up membership, we'll send something out via email. Any more questions? Silky. Yes, question for the male writers. What encouragement could could we give to inspire more Black male writers, and how do they inspire Black men through their writing? Oh, Mark, Anubis, Doc, and Kendall, what encouragement could you give to inspire more Black male writers, and how do you inspire Black men through your writing? Let's start with you, Mark.
It's a wonderful question. To that, I would say, you know, always remember that the Black male's perspective is still needed out here, and in a lot of ways, often we're silenced, and the way to push back against that is to just put it out there, and just sometimes you have to put it out there, and then come what may, and that's just what it is. Like, I mean, I've gotten a certain amount of backlash for some things that I've put out there. So that's just part of the game. But as far as encouragement is concerned, I would say, the simple fact of putting it out there will draw people out to understand what you're coming from, and somebody will come to you and say that, wow, you put my thoughts exactly into fruition, and you said it in a way that really typified what I go through, but I couldn't explain it. So you find you end up, speaking on your own experiences, but you also capture the experiences of other people. So that's what I would say should inspire Black male writers.
Thank you, Mark. Um, um, Kendall.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I totally agree with Mark. So the whole purpose of my book was to have conversations, right? It's not an overly complex book. The title is Loved, Unloved, A Black Man's Puzzle. Part of that is finding voice. What I would say is that as a Black man, we as Black men, we all have unique experiences. And I think just by default, we're walking history. Um, so in terms of encouragement, is tell your stories, tell the stories that you've experienced. It's a unique perspective. Um, Providing space, I think, what we do at the Harlem Writers Guild is something that is unique and special. But I think as Black men, we need to create more spaces for each other to hear our voices, to encourage our voices. And the last thing I would say is just simply write. I think the practice of writing, um, and sharing, because when we write, it's not just for ourselves. It's meant to be shared. It's meant to live beyond pen and paper and ourselves. Um, write, just write what comes to mind, and I think just that act will lend itself to what you're looking to promote and explore.
Thank you, Kendall. Um, Doc, can you speak on this briefly, and then I would like for Anubis to answer this question, because I know Anubis has done some hands-on work, and Doc has so many wonderful insights. So, Doc.
Yeah, my feeling is very similar to Kendall's. Um, it takes courage and the acknowledgement that your uniqueness is of value. It takes the courage to put pen to paper and then to speak that truth with someone that listens. Um, that's basically what I would say.
Thank you, Doc. Now, Anubis.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what the brothers have said, and simply say, in general, but with men specifically, we all think we're very alone in our thoughts and feelings, and to a great degree, we're either taught directly or circumstantially that our thoughts and feelings don't matter when they don't support everyone around us. But what tends to happen is when we express our thoughts and feelings, the people around us feel supported. One of the things I always say is I like to tell the stories that make me feel alone, so that we could all feel alone together, because we are actually all feeling some of those same things, but no one's talking about the things that we're feeling. And in terms of how I feel like my art has, helped inspire others, very recently I did my one-man show, Broken Mirror, and I just decided for myself I wanted to check off a goal, and tell some stories in a one-man show. And so many people came to me because I talk about things about my experience being a dad, and my experience with divorce, and my bad experiences with dating life. And then people come up and say, hey, I have these same thoughts and feelings. I'm glad you shared them. And because we get to now have a conversation, we now all feel better about it. So feel free to tell your stories, because you're not the only one feeling it and experiencing them. So now we can build community together.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that was such a profound point. We can all feel alone together. Thank you for that, and thank you for the work that you do. Uh, let's see if we have any more questions. If before we do anything else or say anything else, I would like to thank the Brooklyn Book Expo for inviting us to participate in this presentation of reflections of our people for the BKBF 2024 Brooklyn Book Festival booking events. And thank you again to RJ for all of your production, front end, back end, technical support, making sure that our lighting is right and down to the most minutest detail. Thank you for all that you're doing. And everyone, let's give a round of applause for each other and for RJ. And we bid you all.
Let's thank Eartha for pulling this all together. Thank you, Eartha.
Thank you. And everyone, thank you for joining us again. And have a wonderful good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
That was very nice.
Yeah.